Mm.
Girlfriends, it is that time for another interview. Woo-hoo! So today I have a special guest. This is really special because she is in South Carolina. This is Nicole Antunes, and she is a part of my homeschool association. And I'm just delighted to be able to share her story and her journey with you all. So before we get started, let me let you know a little bit about this platform. This is Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry. That is me. And this platform gives voice to those of the African homeschooling diaspora to say hashtag we homeschool too. And our kids are thriving and doing well. Not only to say that, but to also give those who are considering homeschooling encouragement to say, hey, I can identify with this family, this story, whatever the case may be, and I can homeschool. She can do it, I can do it. And then also to encourage those who are homeschooling to stay in it and hear some new ways of homeschooling, some new ideas, some new wind and encouragement for you along your journey. All right, so this is what this platform is for. And I'm Angela Jordan Perry. I've been homeschooling for 19 years, 8 children, 3 of whom we've graduated through home, all the way through homeschool, 5 of whom I'm still homeschooling. We make our home in the northwestern part of the state of South Carolina. Now, in South Carolina, as I just mentioned, I am an Option 3 Accountability Association Director. That means that in the state of South Carolina, I give families legal rights to homeschool. Now, my purpose-driven life is to make a positive impact on thousands of homeschoolers worldwide. And I do that first, serving my homeschool community in the state of South Carolina, and then these other platforms where I reach out with passion. That's the way I can say, with passion, to encourage those of the African diaspora community to homeschool, to educate their own children. We're going to be our children's best advocate. I tell you, we really will be. And when we feel like we can't do, we don't know, then you have resources just like this, Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling, to help you and give you some insights, or talk to me, or email me, or message me. I have had all of that, text, message, and calls, to just say, hey, can you walk me through some things? Can you help me understand how to do this? How do I get started? All right, so that's what this is for. But enough about me. So today's guest is Nicole. Everyone say hi, Nicole. Hi. Nicole, how you doing, girlfriend?
Great, thank you.
Good. So are you ready to make this happen?
I'm ready.
All right, let me tell you a little bit about Nicole. Nicole Antunes, also known as the smiley faced art teacher. Can you see? Big smile. The whole time we talked was big, big, big smile. So yes, she is known as the smiley faced art teacher. After graduating high school, she attended Savannah College of Art and Design, and later graduated from Kean University with a BA in early childhood education. Her formal teaching experiences include working as a classroom teacher, an art teacher, and the owner director of her own childcare center for a combined total of 25 years. She enjoyed every minute of teaching her students and guiding them in their creative education. Nicole is also the proud wife of a supportive husband and mom of 4 awesome smiley faced children. Her oldest son is soon to graduate from Clemson University with his degree in electrical engineering. Her second oldest son attends York Technical College, studying to be a dental hygienist. And her almost 7-year-old daughter is whom she's home with homeschooling. She resides in the small town of Clover, South Carolina, and currently enjoys homeschooling her youngest daughter and taking care of her 84, almost 85-year-old live-in father, full of wisdom and insights. So you can check out more of Nicole and her daughter's homeschool journey and their adventures on her Instagram page. And it's called Vanna, I'm going to say that wrong, I'm not sure that, Vanna Evelyn Antunes. Did I get it right? Vanna Evelyn Antunes, and I have all of that information in her bio. So Nicole, I had just told the girlfriends a little bit about yourself. If there's more to share, please share. And then tell us, how did you actually get started into homeschooling these past 3 years?
Wow. Well, homeschooling came about Naturally, I would say. After I started my childcare center, we were going pretty strong. We were doing good. We were growing, and then some unfortunate circumstances came up where we had to sell. And it was like, well, do I go back to work or do I, put my daughter in daycare and, figure out all of that. And just financially, it just made more sense to stay home. So, at that time when I first reached out to you, she was not quite 5 because she didn't reach that cutoff date that they have where you can enroll in school. So everything just kind of happened where it was like, try out homeschooling and see how it goes and see if it's a good fit.
Right.
And it worked out beautifully. We just fell right into it and, haven't looked back.
Okay, so how was your first year homeschooling? How did
The
it go?
first year was, it was fun. It was a learning curve. All of my experience as a teacher came into play, but also just learning how to relax and go more with the flow of being at home and not feeling like I have to do this or I have to do that or I have to be, recreating public school, so to speak. So
Right.
once we got in our little groove, then we took off.
Good deal. Good deal. Now, this is a question I always like asking families or moms who have a degree in education and a background in education. Do you feel like your educational background helped you do so well, in your homeschooling journey when you first got started?
Well, it was a definite plus. It was. I didn't have to think about all of those things that, a non-educator would have to think of about, what type of curriculum and what does she need to know and what do I want her to know. That came easy. Um, Really, it was just like I said, adapting to being at home. And I know there's a term, what do they call it, unschooling now that they use, but
Deschooling.
deschooling, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking of it like that. It was just more like, how are we making this work for us? And as like everything, like nothing stays the same. So incorporating, appointments, taking my dad to appointments and scheduling play dates or whatever, it was just figuring out all of that. And, we still adapt and change to things daily, even now.
Yeah. And that is definitely a big key of understanding when you're homeschooling is that ability to adapt because we have life going on in the midst of while we're homeschooling. And
Yeah.
so that can stress you out if you don't plan that well and have some kind of idea, appointment's going to be on this day and this is going to happen on this day. And when we do go out, this is what's going to happen or what have you. Can you just speak to, this is a little bit different because your dynamic is a little different. Speak to the idea that you are homeschooling your, 6-7-year-old and caretaker for your almost 85-year-old dad. How is that dynamic and juggling that in life? How does that
Well,
look? How's that working?
Well, over the past, 3 years since I've been homeschooling, my dad is really independent. He doesn't have any health issues, so he pretty much keeps himself.
Mhm.
But I do have to, make sure he's eating on a certain schedule and do you take your medicine and things like that. So for now, we don't have too much juggling, just, like I said, making sure that when he has his doctor's appointments that, I don't schedule, certain things for that particular day. But he actually fits in very nicely with homeschool. She loves to read to him,
Oh,
and when she's finished with a lesson, it's one of my favorite things is I will listen to her reteach it to him. And that is the cutest thing.
wow.
So she'll be in there with her little, notebook and like, well, this is what we did today, Pop, and I'm going to teach you what I learned. And I think it's cute,
That is.
Yeah, that
That's sweet.
reinforcement.
Absolutely. And that's sweet. And I think the other plus to you, for you too, homeschooling just one child, is that you do have your dad there. And
Yeah,
so while she's alone, if you will, she still has an outlet to go to someone else other than mom all day and talk to that, talk to him and just have that time with him. So that's really sweet. That's a added bonus that you have.
but it is a challenge though. I would say in particular, homeschooling one child can be yeah, challenging. I'm just going to use that word because
Okay.
I don't want to make it negative because it's not. But there are times when, she doesn't have anyone else to feed off of other than, my father. So a lot of it falls on to me. And then when my husband gets home, then, it spills over onto him. And there have
Yeah.
been times when, he'll get home and we'll still be doing some school related things. And, I think one of the biggest changes that he said this year was that, when he gets home, he wants to, do family time and less, school stuff. So,
Yes.
that's a new element that I think we'll have to navigate, but
Yeah.
we'll figure that out too.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that because that is a good point to consider, and that might be something we have to dive into a little bit more
Hmm.
later in regards to homeschooling one child and just hearing some creative things you've done and some insights that you can give and share around that. So I definitely love to speak with you on that. Take us, Nicole, to your worst day of homeschooling. Your worst day of homeschooling so bad that you really consider maybe this is not for us. And I don't know if I want to keep doing this, or maybe your daughter didn't feel like doing this, but you all have not quit. And this is why you're an amazing, smiley faced homeschool mom that you are today. Take us to that date, Nicole.
Wow. Well, I do sometimes suffer from migraines, and they can last a couple of days.
Hmm.
So, I can't name one particular day where it's been the worst, but I can name those situations where I've had a migraine, and I just, I can't get out of bed. I have to lay in complete darkness. I need to just have silence, and those are the days when I'm just saying, honey, you have to read a book,
Yeah.
go on PBS Kids or do something independent because mommy is out for the count. And those are those days where, I kind of might say to myself, like, wow, would she be better off in school? But then
Mm.
after I think about it, I'm like, no, because then I would still have to figure out how to get her there and, all of that anyway. So at least while I'm home, I can, give her something else to do while I'm, laid up for that day or two.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I gotcha. And so tell us your most proudest moment in homeschooling. Is the day or the moments that you can say, wow, this is why I do what I do. This right here is why I do, and it just warms your heart and makes it all worth it.
Well, I think I shared one where she likes to share what she's learned with her father. But one of the other ones that just popped into my brain was I'm still in communication with some of my colleagues here in the school district. And um, I had did an art piece for one of them, and I went to her school, and she's a librarian, by the way. And she had a class in there, and she just, just casually said, Vanna, would you like to read a story to my class? And this was an older class. It was like a second grade class. And at the time, my daughter, she was, I guess would be considered kindergarten.
Okay.
And she took out this book that was just, beyond their grade level, and was reading and had all of the right inflection and emphasis and animation that you could possibly have in reading a story. And the librarian's mouth was like, the kids were like, how old is she? And then she actually called the principal and was like, you have to come in here and listen
Wow.
to this little girl read a story. And she got a little badge. She was made an honorary student of the school. And it was just,
Oh, Nita.
afterwards, the kids were raising their hands and asking her questions about being a homeschooler. They were like, oh, that is so cool that you get to be home and learn and be in your pajamas. And
Yeah.
it was just like, I was so proud, because I was like, yeah, mom, little pat
Yes.
on the back,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. That is beautiful. Girlfriends, listen, you all get your finger on that share button. Hit the share button and make sure this gets out to others on your page. And just listen to Nicole's her interview here, because number one, I want to tell you, her smiley face just makes you want to smile. Number one. Number two, and just the brightness about her feelings and insights about her homeschooling journey so far. To me, just warms my heart. I'm like, oh, I want to homeschool too, but I do. Maybe I want to homeschool with her energy. I don't know what it is. But you all make sure you hit the share button, because you just never know who is considering homeschooling and needs to hear this information, or who is, they're already homeschooling and just need to get this encouragement and just get this energy from Nicole and her insights as we dive a little bit deeper on some other questions. So Nicole, this is the part of the show where we just dig a little deeper and quick answers to these questions I'm going to ask you, and just pick your brain. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what is your favorite quote that helps you through this homeschooling journey, Nicole?
Oh, wow. You know what? My favorite quote is this: do you, and don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Do what works for you and your house, because your situation is not going to look the same as someone else's situation and circumstance. And you cannot recreate what anybody else is doing. You can take ideas and make them work for you, but ultimately, do you.
Beautiful. I like it. Short and simple. Do you plan to homeschool your little one all the way through to the end?
Well, my husband and I, we have always said we will homeschool until we can't homeschool. And hopefully that'll be until the end.
Gotcha. What is something that's unique that you all do in your homeschool and the Antunes family that maybe other homeschool families don't do?
I don't know if it's unique. We do a lot of art because, hey, I'm an art teacher. We do a lot of art, and I'm an outdoorsy kind of girl. So I love to be outside, whether we're in the garden, whether we're on a nature hike, we're doing something outside, whether it's raining, sleet, hail, we're getting outside.
Beautiful.
So yeah, definitely.
What are some resources that you have on your shelf, your homeschool library shelf, that you think every homeschooling family should have?
Oh, wow. My resources are the library, picking my father's brain, So, the only thing I can say is, find what interests your child and, dig deeper into that, because that's really what's going to fuel their love of learning and
Mm,
helping them to find their passion
mm-hmm.
is what are they interested in, and it's gonna change from year to year until they find that thing. And
Yes.
sometimes you might have that child who knows, my oldest knew from probably, I can remember back as far as like first grade. He was like, I want to do, robots and, computers. And, here he is about to become, an engineer. He's already been hired for a
Wow.
company. And then but then my middle son, he did not know until senior year. I mean, literally, I thought the boy was going to graduate and just not know. And then he just randomly was like, yeah, I want to go to dental hygienist, school. And I was like, oh, okay, yay, you found something you want to do. Great, So, and now Vanna, she first was a ballerina, then it was a pilot, and now, for the past, I want to say year or so, she's really into science. So who knows? That might be her thing. So we are diving, head first into all things science.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. So, what has been the best piece of advice that you have received since you've been on this homeschooling journey?
Oh boy. Self-care, taking
Mm,
time to, take care of yourself, because if you wear yourself down doing everything for everybody, you've heard the saying, you're not going to be good to anyone. And so that's probably been the hardest piece of advice for myself to follow, because even though we know that's the thing to do, you know, actually doing it is
yeah.
is the thing. Even today, getting ready for this interview, this is a look. This is a whole look right here. And my daughter was like, "Oh, mommy, where you going? What you doing today?" And I was like, "Wow, how do I look on every other day? Like, really?"
Right.
So I mean, I guess under here normally would be the bonnet, and I would have my workout clothes on. But it just it reminded me that mommy has to take a minute and try to look cute.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that is such a theme. It's been a theme, I'm telling you,
Mhm.
of the interviews. Self-care, 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 self-care. Because in homeschool, and I'm sure will say maybe the same, or you can add something to it, but because when you're homeschooling, you're all focused on the kids and their schooling and their work, and then change that to your house, and it's time to cook, and it's time for laundry, and it's time for this. I mean,
Woo.
your,
Yeah.
your schedule is like unending of things you have to do before you know it. I mean, you haven't done anything for
Mhm.
yourself or to yourself and mindfulness of yourself. And so
All week, all week. Yeah.
all week
Exactly.
long, all week long. And so, here's a homeschool mom. I'm here to tell you, I learned that not real quick, but matter of what, last 4 or so years, you know, that I'm going to take some time out for me and put them on
Well,
my hair and put on my
here's an
makeup.
here's an idea. How about a homeschool mom spa getaway? I
A
gotta
homeschool
plan it.
mom, what? Say it again.
A homeschool mom getaway. Might have to plan
Yeah.
that.
Okay, hey, that's a thought. That is actually a good thought. But I'm telling you, it has to be huge that we must carve out that time away. If not every day, many times in a week, at least once a week, carve out the time that we need for ourselves to fix ourselves up and do ourselves. I mean, date ourselves. That's what I did every week. I would take myself out on a date. I did last night. I went to the movie. So I just take time out for myself, or make sure I take my bubble baths, because now having graduated 3 kids, and you have older kids too. We're getting older, and we got to realize time's going out. Okay, what am I doing for Angela? What am I doing for Nicole? How have I cared for me? You know, we're going to make sure our man's taken care of, our husbands, our significant other, our partners taken care of. We're going to make sure the kids are taken care of. And the most part, we're going to make sure the house taken care of. And then regular old us.
Yeah.
Broke down, tired, and just out of shape, or whatever, you know. And I'm not putting anyone down, but that's what happens when we don't give self-care to ourselves, you know. So thing. Mamas, listen to what Nicole said. Self-care. It's her best piece of advice. Absolutely. Well, here's the last question, Nicole, the $1 million question. Are you ready?
Okay. I think so.
Okay, well, here you go. Now that you have all your current wisdom, knowledge, skills, experiences in this homeschooling journey, but if you had to do it all over again with what you know now, and considering what you didn't know then, what would be something you'd be sure to change this go around if you had to start homeschooling all over again? What would you change, or what would you be sure to implement this time around?
Wow, well, that's an interesting question. Let's see. What would I change? I would say pretty much nothing. We have had an awesome time. I mean, we have so much fun together. You know, lessons, like I say, aren't a problem, curriculum, that sort of thing. I don't, go out of my way to try to duplicate what someone else does. So that's not an issue. Um, I can't say there's anything I'd change. I can't give you anything with that.
That's okay. That's okay. That's excellent. That's excellent. Because you feel good in your skin and what you all have, what you created in your homeschooling, you de-school because you've been in the school system. So you know what that looks like. You didn't want it in your home. So that's great. That's great. Well, do you have any last words of advice, any last words you want to share that maybe we didn't touch base on? And anything that you want us to know as far as coming around and supporting what you're doing or be a part of what you are involved in?
I would just, reiterate what I said earlier about just, take your time, become comfortable with what you're doing in your homeschool program. Moms, dads, and whoever else is helping out with the homeschooling, and just do what's best for your family. There's no behind, there's no gotta catch up. It's just, this is why we homeschool. Remember why you decided to homeschool. And that sums it all up. You didn't homeschool to try to be public school. You didn't homeschool to try to do what, the Joneses are doing. You homeschool for you and your family.
That's right. Perfect. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, girlfriends, listen, you are the average sum of the 5 people you hang out with. In this hour, you have been hanging out with Nicole Antunes out of Clover, South Carolina. So listen, keep up the momentum and stay connected to other positive people who's going to bring positivity into your life. And I'm going to tell you what, I haven't said this on any show. And if you don't have those people in your life that's bringing positivity to you, you need to jump on over to Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling on YouTube and look at all the hundreds. I have over 100, almost 140 videos, interviews of people that look just like you, look just like Nicole, myself, who are homeschooling all over the world, and we're making it happen. And they will bring that positivity to your life and to your homeschooling journey. So stay connected, and then you be that positive well that others can draw from for their homeschooling journey, okay? So it's a reciprocal thing, given and taken, all right? Well, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing of your time and your insights and wisdom of your journey with the girlfriends here on Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling. I appreciate you and am grateful to you for not only entrusting me with you and helping you with your homeschooling journey, but also just of giving of your time to share your thought-provoking ideas and your setup of your homeschooling. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So much. I appreciate you very much, Nicole. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, well, girlfriends, I'm going to tell you this. Just remember that to teach a child is to touch a life. And as we homeschool, we not only touch a life, we shape the future through our efforts of homeschooling. So keep making a positive impact day after day, year after year. Be sure to do you, like Nicole said, just do you, and make it happen. Okay? Peace, everyone. All the contact information for Nicole will be in her bio and the information below where you can get in contact with her if you have more questions, you want some insights, and just pick her brain a little bit more. And all the resources that I have that are available to you and the African diaspora community will be there as well. Be sure to utilize those and get connected, okay? Take care and peace to all of you. Bye. Bye, Nicole.
Bye bye.